Now please join me in welcoming Mr. Cameron Craig, Instructor of Geology and Geography and last year's Faculty Laureate, to the podium.
Good morning. Expect greatness. Expect the best educational experience from Eastern Illinois University. Each year, a professor is chosen from across all disciplines to represent that greatness that is EIU. A Professor Laureate is a member of campus that demonstrates and supports excellence in education, your education. Before you begin your educational career here at EIU on Monday, today this year's Professor Laureates will focus on how you can expect greatness from yourself. As last year's Professor Laureate, it is my privilege to introduce you to such an individual that represents the greatness that is EIU. Dr. David Schmidt, a professor from the History Department, was chosen as this year's Professor Laureate for his ability to focus on the learning process he uses in his classroom. What intrigues me about Dr. Schmidt is his effectiveness of storytelling that brings history to life in the minds of his students. Not only is he a great storyteller, but also expects students to dig deeper into the stories he tells to find a deeper meaning. It has been commented that students walk away from his classes discovering historical similarities in their own lives to stories of the past. He promotes critical thinking that not only serves the course he is teaching, but students begin to take those ideas into other disciplines, achieving a higher level of understanding. Professor Schmidt provides an exceptional educational experience outside of the classroom as well by offering study abroad opportunities to Europe and French colonial sites along the Mississippi River. These opportunities have provided students with a new worldview and inspires them to learn more about the world around them. He has prepared a large online collection of primary sources that he uses in various classes and published a 2-volume collection of primary source readings with Bedford Books titled The West in the Wider World. Professor Schmidt teaches history courses at several levels, was a graduate, has served on many Master of Arts graduate committees, and was a graduate mentor for a student who received many awards for his finished master's thesis and is currently working on his doctorate at Arizona State University. Dr. Schmidt is passionate about his teaching and is EIU's definition of what is meant by expecting greatness. Please join me in honoring Professor Laureate Schmidt with this distinguished honor.
Did you hear the buzz in the room before we began this morning? People making new friends, discussing what you did last night, or figuring out where your next room to go to after we're done here. There is an excitement at the beginning of an academic year, an energy that is especially generated by those coming for the first time to EIU. That energy is EIU's life's blood. The energy that you bring to the campus and into the classroom feeds this community of learning. And so it is my particular joy, on behalf of the faculty, to welcome so many new students into our community of learning at EIU. And also to thank Professor Craig for his kind comments. Knowing the deep pool of talented educators at EIU, it is a profound honor to have been chosen to stand before you today. You arrive here from different backgrounds, with different experiences, different passions, different hopes, and different expectations. You arrive here with differing abilities, whether you can spike a volleyball, play trombone, be a compassionate friend, or reach level 80 in World of Warcraft. For many of you, you arrive to enjoy new responsibilities, greater control over your daily and and nightly activities. More concerned about your finances. And with an opportunity to figure out what type of life you want to forge for yourself. There is plenty of reason for your energy level to be high. But what will you do with that energy? What will you be learning at EIU? And here I want to reveal to you a great secret. Many of the things, or some of the things, that you will learn over the next few years are just simply wrong. 30 years ago, I sat in a psychology class and learned of neurosis and psychosis. But today, those terms are no longer recognized by the American Psychiatric Association. 30 years ago, I sat in a biology classroom and learned that the eye of an insect was very different from the eye of a human. But today, biologists emphasize that those two eyes are very similar because they're produced by the same master control genes. The reason that you will learn wrong things is because college marks a transition. A transition from you as a consumer of information to you as a producer of knowledge. EIU is not a community of data, passing down one fact after another to students. It is not our goal to prepare you to dominate at Trivial Pursuit. If I can begin an analogy here appropriate for our central Illinois region, the issue I'm suggesting is akin to a fine Amish cabinet maker. Our fine Amish cabinet maker begins with facts, his lumber, that he's going to use to construct a cabinet. He chooses his lumber with care. Is it of the right size and the right quality for the cabinet he's going to make? Are there imperfections in the wood? The facts are important. The cabinet maker cannot make a fine cabinet from rotten wood. And if the facts in your papers and essays are incorrect, your arguments will fall apart. But if all our cabinet maker did was study his lumber, we wouldn't be very impressed. Instead, we expect the cabinet maker to produce something, to make something, to transform that lumber into a fine piece of furniture. We expect him to know which tools will be appropriate for which tasks as he undertakes his work of production. Most of your educational careers up until the present, you have been studying the lumber. It is now time to do something with it. Most of your college career, you will be learning and practicing how to use the tools and the methods of different disciplines of study to craft and build arguments. In general education courses, you will learn how different disciplines have different tools and different models of how the world works, of how people think and act. These models have different assumptions built into them. An economist might look at our Amish cabinet maker and see his hand craftsmanship as added value to the final product. A physiologist might look at our Amish cabinet maker and see his hand craftsmanship as producing repetitive stress injuries. A philosopher or an artist might look at the hand craftsmanship and see aesthetic values. Different fields of study provide different tools in order to be able to ask and answer different types of questions. And as you declare a major, you will practice framing questions and resolving problems through the tools and methods of that specific discipline. You'll learn the strengths and, very important, the limitations of those tools. And as you use these tools, as you produce knowledge, you will discover that some of the facts you had previously learned no longer hold up to the new knowledge that you are producing. But of course, I've left out the most basic question. How does our Amish cabinet maker know what it is that he's making? What plan does he follow? What design? And here I have to stretch my analogy a little bit, because we don't have a plan or a design that we follow. Rather, for us, our work is driven by questions. What does the Declaration of Independence mean by life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Why do so many criminals wind up returning to prison? Why are some diseases becoming resistant to antibiotics? How do you teach a child how to read? Rather than a community of data, EIU is a community of learning. And learning is driven by questions. And so my most important piece of advice for you is don't come into your classes on Monday looking for what's on the test, looking for a set of facts to memorize. Come into your classes with questions and looking for how to answer them. For it is in searching for answers that true learning will occur. When you leave EIU a few years from now, you will carry with you the tools for asking and answering questions. Tools that you can use to shape your own future and to shape the world around you. As Christoph and Wu Dun emphasize in Half the Sky, which many of us have read for Eastern Reads, the world is not transformed by people who have fixed ideas about how to implement change. Rather, the world is transformed most effectively by people who ask questions about how change can be achieved. Finally today, I thought I would leave you with a few bits of practical advice, some pearls of wisdom, if you will, for your time here at EIU. First, if you don't know your professor's name, if you don't remember what the topic of the course is, you may need to attend class more frequently. And when you do miss class, make sure to get the notes from somebody who has at least a C average in the class. Second, stop by during your professor's office hours. I can't tell you how many times I've sat in my office hours and nobody comes by. Come by during my office hours. It will invigorate both you and your professor to make those human contacts beyond the classroom. Third, think about your time schedule at the beginning of the semester. Next week, you're going to receive syllabi in all of your classes. Those syllabi will outline when assignments are due, when exams are planned. Look and compare those schedules. Find out when you have conflicts. You're going to learn very quickly that most of the professors plan for all of your papers and exams on the same week. And during the fall semester, big hint, the week before Thanksgiving break, you need to look ahead of time and prepare for those conflicts. Fourth, be involved in the life of the community. Be involved in the life of the campus. Join clubs and service organizations. Much of what you will do on a daily basis is abstract. And I find that when I'm doing so much abstract work, I need something concrete. help build homes for Habitat for Humanity, help plan Special Olympics. These types of activities will keep you grounded. And fifth, have fun. Play frisbee golf, go to a concert, start a bonfire, though get permission first. Your brain will need time for laughter. Thank you and welcome to EIU.
In his classroom. What intrigues me about Dr. Schmidt is his effectiveness of storytelling that brings history to life in the minds of his students. Not only is he a great storyteller, but also expects students to dig deeper into the stories he tells to find a deeper meaning. It is EIU. A Professor Laureate is a member of campus that demonstrates and supports excellence in education, your education. Before you begin your educational career here at EIU on Monday, today this year's Professor Laureates will focus on how you can expect greatness from yourself. As last year's Professor Laureate, it is my privilege to introduce you to such an individual that represents the greatness that is EIU. Dr. David Smith, a professor from the History Department, was chosen as this year's Professor Laureate for his ability to focus on the learning process. He uses Good morning. Expect greatness. Expect the best educational experience from Eastern Illinois University. Each year, a professor is chosen from across all disciplines to represent that greatness, that
Now please join me in welcoming Mr. Cameron Craig, Instructor of Geology and Geography and last year's Faculty Laureate, to the podium.